Good evening and welcome to the Joint Community Development and Finance Meeting for January 27th, 2025. We have two items on the agenda. The first would be the approval of the November 25th, 2024 joint meeting minutes as circulated.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Sarah. Was it Mr. Sarah? And seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor? Oh,
On behalf of, first, I'll call Finance to order. On behalf of Finance, could I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
all right. Motion has passed for item number
No,
one.
we have to vote.
We did, didn't?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'll entertain a motion for approval of the November 25th. We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of Finance, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. All in favor, please use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
In Law Director Deary, this is not on the agenda, but Law Director Deary is going to take the mic. We're going to go into a brief executive session.
Thank you through you, Chair Schneider and Chair Tolet. I would request that the Joint Committee would adjourn into a brief executive session. No action is anticipated nor requested on my part. I would like to, Scout's honor, briefly discuss the status of some pending federal litigation and answer any questions that council members may have. And again, that would require a roll call vote on the motion for executive session to discuss litigation, pending litigation.
So just call for a roll call. All right, on behalf of Community Development, I'll entertain a motion to enter executive session. Second.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Question's been called. Roll call vote. We will start. Mr. Callahan?
Aye.
Mrs. Mitchell?
Aye.
Mr. Lippian? Sorry, went
Aye.
out of order. Mr. Oswald?
Here.
Aye.
All right. Your turn.
On behalf of Finance, can I get a motion to go into executive session?
So
first?
moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'm sorry, through you, it needs to be a roll call vote. Point of order.
To go in, excuse me, to have a roll call vote. Does the motion concur?
Concur.
Thank you.
Roll call vote.
Roll call vote, please.
Pass this down so we
Yep.
have the list.
There you go.
Okay, Mrs. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Sarah?
Aye.
Mrs. Sawarka?
Aye.
Mr. Schneider?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
At this time, we would ask the audience to adjourn just for a few minutes. Our council has promised it would be, she pinky promised that it would be quick, so.
Mike's off and Colleen.
Trying to get the news out. Most everybody was here.
And we are back. Agenda item number 2 is the matter of the transfer of city-owned property from the Lorraine Metropolitan Housing Authority, referred by Assistant Safety Service Director Calvert. Mrs. Calvert?
Hello, good evening through you. So we were approached by LMHA fairly recently, I think early January, I think, that there is a parcel of property right in the middle of Wilkes Villa that the city has owned, and it was intended to be used for a city-managed playground. And that has not happened, but there was a deed restriction that required the property, if it was not to be used as a playground, to go back to LMHA. So LMHA reached out to me because they are applying for a grant and they have redevelopment opportunity that would require them to have ownership of that parcel again. So I sent you a copy of the deed restriction, I believe the parcel and a description of the project, but we do have representation from LMHA here tonight as well, if you would like to hear from them.
Thank you. Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Attorney Scott Aurelia, and I am with the law firm of Dooley, Gambala, McLaughlin, and Pecora in Sheffield Village. My address is 31897 Starboard Cove in Avon Lake. I am one of the attorneys here for LMHA. We're very fortunate in Lorain County that our C-suite of executives with LMHA are widely considered the rock stars of the public housing space. They're all very innovative, very forward-thinking, and always looking to improve housing for their residents and overall the standard of living for their residents. One of the many programs that we're undertaking at the moment is something called a RAD conversion, rental assistance demonstration, and Colleen DiTilio is here. She's the CFO of LMHA, and she can speak more on the RAD conversion. However, that is one of the projects we're doing, and that's being undertaken on Ebony Drive. Now, we own all of the parcels there except for one that was conveyed by LMHA to the city of Elyria in 1974. As part of the funds we're receiving, the federal funds we're receiving, we're required to have site control over all of that property. And so we're asking for that property to be conveyed back from the city to LMHA. And as Dawn had mentioned, there are deed restrictions in the property that required it to be used as a playground, so it's not really developable or economically viable for development. So I guess with that introduction, I'll let you ask any questions you may have to Colleen, or if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer any. So.
Thank you. Mrs. DiTilio, welcome. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Colleen DiTilio, I'm Chief Financial and Development Director at Lorraine Metropolitan Housing Authority. My address is 45535 State Route 46, New Waterford, Ohio.
Thank you.
So I'll just give you kind of an executive summary as to what we're looking to do at Wilkes Villa. We're very excited about it. HUD implemented this RAD program, a rental assistance demonstration program, probably going on a decade or so ago, but it's certainly picked up a lot of speed nationally. They have converted. The reason for this program was because of the huge backlog, billions, about $40 billion in capital improvement backlog with public housing. They wanted to implement this program where it brought private and public partners together. So specific to Wilkes Villa, we are applying for a 4% low-income housing tax credit through the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. We expect each unit renovation, it's going to be a complete rehab, about $120,000 per unit. So the entire project with hard and soft costs, we're looking at around $30 million. We're still trying to fine tune the financial pro forma. And there's a lot of other funding sources that are going into this project as well. But when we got into site control, which was one of the checklist items on the funding application, we realized this particular parcel, which is sandwiched in a bunch of other parcels that we own. The surveyor came back scratching their head, and we realized, this was passed to the city 50 years ago, and we're just asking that you transfer it back to us so we can make it an integral part of this really great and exciting rehab project.
Thank you for your explanation. Before we take questions from the council, I'll let Law Director Geary chime in just with legal.
Thank you through you, Mr. Chair. My office did have the chance to just briefly take a look at this parcel online at the auditor's site, and it literally is just a lot amidst a bunch of other lots in a row that are all owned by LMHA. I've not had the chance to speak with our Parks and Rec department, but I don't have any reason to doubt what LMHA is saying, that there's not a playground there. Doesn't appear that there's ever was a playground there. And it is literally just one lot amidst all of the lots that are currently under the control and ownership of LMHA. So I regret that I don't have a map in front to show you, but that is what we're dealing with, so.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Hey, Mr. Armstrong.
Armstrong?
I said Armstrong, yeah, sorry. You can go, you'll go next. I saw your hand.
Please, you're on the committee.
Well, okay, first off, where do the people go when you're remodeling it? And then, okay, that'll be my first question.
So we are required to follow relocation, and we have a pretty sizable relocation budget built into the project. So we're not anticipating any issues. We will house whoever we can still in the site. They'll have to move between units. We're going to try and minimize moving off-site because we know that that can be disruptive to the families. So at some point, we will close our waiting list and start to generate vacancies so we can move residents around at the site. Those that we can't, we're hoping we can put them somewhere within our portfolio, or again, we have enough in our budget that we can relocate them to another site until they can come back. Our goal is to not have them off-site if they have to be for more than a year, so.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I guess that was his first question. How long is it going to take and what's the time frame of the whole job?
Yeah, so we are looking, we just got some bids back from folks, and we're looking at about 18 months for construction. And again, sometimes when you're moving folks, it is a challenge working with them because they don't want to move out of their comfort zone. But we have specialists on staff, and then again, we're going to actually hire a relocation specialist that does this for a living.
All right, Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'm not on this committee, but I do have a few questions. So when the redevelopment of the offices happened in Wilkes-Villa, that was almost 10 years ago or so, why did y'all not look at this piece of parcel? Because the back of Horizon has their playground, their little mini playground area on that parcel, and also a piece of the Wilkes-Villa playground is also on this parcel.
Yeah, I think that just in looking at an aerial shot, there's some maybe playground equipment that's encroaching on it. Unfortunately, I can't speak to that and, what happened. I can't speak to that.
The second question is, you said you have a relocation specialist, and this is only going to happen for 18 months. Those residents will you will have a residence for these residents to move out of their homes to go to,
Oh,
correct?
absolutely.
With
We are-
no issues?
We are required by HUD to do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Mr. Stewart, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just looking at the aerial photography, just in this parcel that you're speaking to. Is there any infrastructure in here? Underground infrastructure that you know of?
Not
That
that
the
I
city
know of.
might
No.
go running through? No, none of you are aware of? Okay. Just a question.
I can answer that.
All right, Mr. Armstrong.
So through you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Stewart, the only thing around that property is just woods. It's kind of questionable why it took 50 years to get this piece of property back. I was born and raised in that neighborhood, and it's always been woods.
Yeah.
And then from the map view, it says there's supposed to be an Ebony Drive. There was never an Ebony Drive ever constructed, so I don't know what was going on in 1975. I wasn't around. I came around 83, but it's always been woods. So it's just wild that you said you started this RAD investigation 10 years ago, correct?
No, this RAD project just came up recently, and we were researching, we had a surveyor out there, and they realized that this parcel,
Yeah.
we don't have site control over it. And to be honest with you, we were all very surprised. And the other thing is we have been working with HUD to move some parcels that, with HUD, you have to have a declaration of trust on a parcel in order to use federal funds. So LMHA had some parcels that didn't have a declaration of trust that we want to develop. We want to use federal funds for parking lots and some other things within the county or our jurisdiction. So we had actually started this process with this parcel with HUD. And the RAD project kind of came in behind us. The survey was done with the RAD project, and we realized, oh, geez, we don't even own this property. So we can't even ask HUD for a DOT in order to develop it if we wanted to, so.
Law Director Deary, then Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. As far as the Ebony Drive, it does appear that this is what we would, informally refer to as a paper street. That it's literally, it's on paper, but that's as far as it goes. Yep.
Thank you for the clarification. Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So once they get all done, they move back in there, does their rent go up? I don't know, some of them pay money, some of them don't. Does anything increase on the
So
home?
it's still based on, rent is based on their income, 30% of their income.
So that won't change, that will.
No, the project will actually, through the RAD process, it will actually move to a different HUD platform. It will no longer be considered by HUD as public housing program. It'll move to their multifamily platform. Little different rent structure, and it's actually gets us a little bit more federal funding for our residents.
Thank you. Mrs. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, how long has it been since the properties at Wilkes have been renovated in any type of way?
So I've been in this position since August.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I can't really speak to it. I'm getting up to speed. There's a lot going on. But obviously, if the physical needs assessment has identified $120,000 per unit, it needs some attention.
Mr. Chair, through you,
Yes, Mrs. Mitchell.
I thought I heard at one time that once this renovation takes place, the name would no longer be Wilkes Villa. Is that correct?
We are looking to change the name.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed.
Mr. Sarah, did you have your hand up? Okay, sorry. Mrs. Sawerka?
Thank you, through the chair. It would have been helpful to have a map. I'm trying to figure out where this is located, and is it surrounded by township property? Because when I tried to pull up the parcel number, it didn't come up. Oh, thank you. So, is that the church?
So
The
this is
church?
no, this is Horizon.
Okay,
This is Wilkesville's playground.
Gotcha.
So it's here and this is woods.
gotcha.
Woods, and then there's that little piece that's behind the offices and stuff. That's the daycare.
So when they built that, they,
They didn't even ask. That's what I said. Why
yeah.
did you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments from the panel? Committee report?
Just one quick
One
comment.
second. Oh, Mr. Lippian?
I just wanted to say thanks, Mr. Armstrong, for bringing your expertise down and helping us understand the map better.
Yeah.
It was helpful.
Yeah, I do have one, through the chair, I do have one additional question. So who built the Horizon building? Was that through the city or the county? Because if they got a building permit, they didn't do their due diligence on the property lines.
Director Pianowski?
The aerial map I'm looking at, it just looks like there's maybe some playground equipment there, so they probably, maybe they didn't get a survey, so I don't know, it wasn't the building, it's just a piece of equipment by the looks of it, so.
Through the chair, I'm just still a little confused as to whether this is in the city or whether it's in the township,
The lots, this lot is in the city, yes.
but not all of the lots out there are. All of it's in the city?
Were you,
This entire lot's in the city.
I think,
Yeah, I understand the entire lot is, yeah.
are you referring, Mrs. Swerk, are you referring to like the entire overall project, like the woods portion?
Through the chair, I would think that there's probably a zig and zag of property that's City of Elyria, Carlisle Township, up and down Fuller?
No, through the chair, Ms. Worka, the property is literally behind Fuller Road, there's the Unity Church, so there's like the woods that go all the way down to Wood Street.
Gotcha.
It's right there.
Right there, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Mr. Lippian?
I just have one question, and it's for Mr. Armstrong. Understanding that you're not on the committee, but this is your ward, correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you in support of this?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the transfer of city-owned property to Lorraine Metropolitan Housing, LMHA, and recommend this emergency legislation be drawn, an ordinance authorizing the transfer of said property to LMHA, emergency clause requested due to LMHA project timelines. May I have a motion from Community Development?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Lippian.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
On behalf of Finance, can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, please use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If there's no further business to come before this committee, I'll entertain a motion from Community Development
So
for
moved.
adjournment. Moved by Mr. Lippian,
Second.
second by Mr. Callahan.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And
Okay, we will continue on with Finance, which has been called. First item on the agenda is the matter of approval of the November 25th only meeting minutes as circulated. Could I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, use a voting sign, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Excuse me. Next item on the agenda is the matter of finding the city has street department equipment that is no longer suitable for public use and to be sold or disposed of by best means possible. Safety Service Director?
Thank you, through you. This particular piece of equipment is a tanker trailer that is over on the property on Garden Street where we're going to be building the new central maintenance garage. It was used for brine. We no longer use this brine storage. We have the grant brine equipment that we got last year through the grant. So we're looking for authorization to sell this off as we start preparing the property for groundbreaking at some point. We're starting to look at stuff that's over there that we need to get rid of. And so this is one of those things.
Is this something that you'll sell on gov.com potentially, or will it be sold for scrap possibly?
I believe it's still useful, so the
Oh, it
plan
is?
would be
Okay.
to offer it on govdeals.com. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any questions for the Safety Service Director from the committee? If not, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of finding the city has out-of-service equipment that is unfit for municipal use and to be disposed of by the best means possible. A resolution declaring the city has equipment that is unfit for municipal use. An ordinance authorizing the said equipment unfit and to be disposed of by the best means possible in accordance with the law per the attached list. Can I get a motion, please?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, please use a voting sign. Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, number 3, the matter of finding the city has fire department equipment that is no longer suitable for public use and to be sold or disposed of by the best means possible. Safety Service Director?
Thank you. Through you, this piece of equipment, when we purchased a self-contained breathing apparatus in 2021, this particular system could not fill the tanks. This is the oxygen tanks, for lack of a better word, that our firefighters carry with them. And so this piece of equipment is no longer useful to us and is obsolete, but it still has useful life maybe to a different fire department that maybe hasn't advanced as far as we have with the equipment that we have. So we're looking to offer that on Gov Deals to sell it, and we think that we'll have a buyer.
If those who were on council at that time remember, Chief Pernesti talked to us about once they fill the air apparatus, it was fascinating to me. They actually expand and contract over time. It was amazing. And I believe this is the filler for those old tanks, is that correct?
Through, yes, sir, that is correct. This is the old apparatus that would fill the tanks, and since we're not using those tanks, they don't
Right.
work together, so it's time to move on from it.
Any questions for the safety? Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if fire department could get my office some sort of photo or VIN, well, not a VIN, but serial number, something that would be very, very helpful for purposes of legislation.
Will do.
Thank you.
If there are no more questions, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of finding the city has out-of-service equipment that is unfit for municipal use and to be disposed of by the best means possible. A resolution declaring the city has equipment that is unfit for municipal use. An ordinance authorizing the said equipment unfit and to be disposed of by the best means possible in accordance with the law per the attached list. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, please use a voting sign. Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, number 4, the matter of accepting the 2025 NOPEC Energized Community NEC Grant. Mayor Brubaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yearly, we have to pass a resolution to accept the grant. This year, we received the grant from NOPEC for $98,542. We have about $5,657 of previous grants that have to be used by November 30th of this year. We have $98,000 in NOPEC grants that need to be used by November 30th of 2026. And this grant will have to be utilized by November 30th of 2027. But what I'm requesting tonight is a resolution to accept this so it can go into our grant funds and we can start to utilize it. Keep in mind that NOPEC grants, we used about $175,000 of it last year to replace the windows on the west side of City Hall, which was a reimbursement. We also used NOPEC money to help insulate with new windows, insulation at the Brookdale Cemetery. So these are things that we're utilizing on our city properties for energy efficient purposes.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions from the committee? Does it need to be an emergency?
Mr. Chairman, through you, I would prefer that, yes, sir.
Thank you. Any questions from the committee? If not, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of accepting the 2025 NOPEC Energized Community Grant, NEC, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept the said grant in the amount of $98,852. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor, please use the voting sign. Aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Final item on the agenda, number 5, the matter of amendments to the 2025 temporary appropriations. Director Pileski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 this evening in the General Bond Retirement Fund, adding $58,753 to debt service. That's to cover the January principal payment on our outstanding Ohio Public Works Commission loans. And in the 2016 half% income tax fund, Parks and Rec Department, adding $1,100,190 to capital outlay. That is so Ms. Reardon can get moving on some of the projects that are slated for this year. And then in the Public Works Complex Construction Fund, which is the new basically CMG complex, in capital outlay, adding $2 million to capital outlay, and that is so I can sign the design contract with the architect and also any other items that may come up before the permit is passed.
Are there any questions for Director Pileski? Mrs. Sawerka.
Thank you, through the chair. On this list that we got from Parks and Recreation, I'm not sure that this is the finance director's question, but the security cameras that are listed on here, they're going to be installed. Where do those get monitored?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, IT has access to those. So anytime there is an issue at one of our parks, we're able to get with IT and they pull them basically off the cloud.
Okay, thank you.
Just out of curiosity, Mayor, I'm sorry.
Say that again?
Just out of curiosity, can these be tied into the new Axon system for storage?
It would be through you, it's something we'd have to explore, but maybe, I can ask.
That might be an inexpensive way to store video.
Sure, if it's more complicated to access it or whatever, we can ask the question and
Okay.
see if it's beneficial.
It just hit, when she said that, it was the first thing I thought of. That new system is
Sure.
pretty awesome.
I don't know if there's any limitations on what we can store within Axon 2, so by contract, but we can
Right.
explore the possibility.
Okay. Mrs. Mitchell, I'm sorry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not on this committee, but through you to the Safety Service Director, looking at the list that the Parks Director gave us, the West Park Trail completion near Oakwood, it says for add rope railing. Please help me see that. Where are we talking?
Through you, Chair. My understanding of where the rope railing is going to go is in the parking lot, where we've had the issues over there by the school.
Okay.
We've had some cars parking,
Yes,
what would
sir.
be to more delineate where the path is and where the parking lot is. So that's the plan.
Okay, thank
Is
you
the
so much.
last explanation I got.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? If not, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of the 2025 temporary appropriations, and ordinance authorizing amendments to the 2025 temporary appropriations as per attached. Mr. Pileski, does this need to be an emergency?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, appropriation changes take effective immediately without emergency.
I apologize. I knew that. I knew the answer when I asked it. I apologize. I've read the committee report. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. If there is no further business to come before this committee, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question.
Question's been called. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Good night, everyone.
Pass that to Mary. She's the only one that didn't sign it because she wasn't.
Mayor Brubaker, before we go into the Rules Committee, quick question. We received, regarding our utilities, it was in our box. Is that something that's going to go out?
The question was, is it getting mailed out?
Yes, this is the annual notice for rates that goes out. I believe it's going out with utility bills.
Okay.
So
If
we
I
send
could
this out
follow-
every year, I believe.
If I could follow up on Mr. Tollett's
Please.
question, the electronic version of bills, how are they getting that? Do they get it electronically?
I would assume
I
so,
don't
but I'd have to
remember.
double check, to be honest with you.
Okay. I mean, I get my bill electronically, but I don't think the inserts, it must appear someplace else. The Columbia Gas or Electric Company will say, look at the inserts that are with this, so.
I'll ask utilities tomorrow and send you
Okay,
guys an
thank
email,
you.
let you know what the plan is specifically on that.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Rules Committee meeting, Monday, January 27th, 2025. We have two items on the agenda. The first will be the approval of the November 20th, 2024 Rules Committee meeting minutes as circulated.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second matter is the matter of the mayor appointing members to the Elyria Bicycle Advisory Committee. Mayor Brubaker.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you remember last fall, we had the accident on Gulf Road, and several of the members of council asked about the bicycle committee and about possibly reinstating it because it is under the various codified ordinances. So I was able to, with Mr. Schoening's help, reach out to some members that were previously on there, as well as one or two new ones. And 4 of the 5 of them are here this evening. But I met with them a couple weeks ago prior to this meeting, just ad hoc, just to let them know, this is not a committee that's going to have meetings just to have meetings, that I wanted actionable items to come from them. And, one of the concerns that they had was, when they had met in the past, there was items and suggestions made that nobody followed or they weren't taken seriously. And I assured them that Mr. Schoening, who has a background in pedestrian safety and bicycle safety from his time in Jacksonville, would be my ex officio person that would sit in on. But I made very clear I wanted them to pick their own chairman, their own vice chairman, set their dates, how often they want to meet, set their agenda. It was their committee. I would be available at any time to meet with them. But I wanted actionable items to come out of the committee that could come either through Mr. Schoening, to council, to engineering, whatever the case is, and also have them be a part of our, our safety plans and our bicycle safety plans, pedestrian plans that we have out there through many sources. So 4 of the 5 are here tonight, and it's Mr. Stewart, Mr. Mathis, Mr. LaGraderia, Mr. Hornbeek, and then the 5th one that is not here tonight is Mr. Petsky. So I'm asking that those 5 be appointed by way of me through you to this committee so we can start to work on it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Oswald?
I'm not on this committee, but out of all them, I know all but Adam, and I know I've had comments from most of them on their bicycle safety, and they chime in on issues going on. And I think that will be a good mix of people you got up there. You got a few different ages, you got some of the young ages, and I think, I think they can do a lot of good, and I'm glad they all got together. I think this is really going to help out. So thank you guys for your help.
Mr. Tolet?
I think one of the things, the accident really addressed how important you can be to the city, your guidance, and it shouldn't have come to that, but it did. And it's very, very important to us that we listen to your input. So thank you for taking part. It's very important.
Ms. Werka?
Thank you. Through the chair, I just want to say thank you for your willingness to serve. I was part of the bicycle committee in the past. I understand the frustrations, and I'm glad that you're willing to serve again, because I agree with Mr. Tolet that it's too bad that it got to this. But your experience as bicyclists, as cyclists, will give us insight on, lanes and markings and signage and all of those things. So thank you for your willingness to volunteer your time.
Through you, Mr. Chair. And I thank you, Mr. Mathis, for serving. I know you've been up here numerous times to talk about bicycles and signage and safety, so I'm really glad to see that you're out there and that you're serving. Thank all of you, but especially Mr. Mathis, because I know he's been up here numerous times, so thank you.
Anybody else? If not, I'll read a committee report. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to appoint the following residents to the Elyria Bicycle Advisory Committee.
So moved.
Jordan
Second.
Stewart.
Second.
Jack?
Sorry, the committee report needs to be read in full. Sorry. Yeah, just hold your horses. Sorry. Point of order.
Jordan Stewart, Dan Hornbeek, Mark Mathis, Tony Joe Lagrateria, and Adam Pesky. An emergency clause is requested due to imminent need to fill vacancies. Now can I get a motion?
So moved. Second?
Question on the
All in
motion.
favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. If there's no other business for this committee, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night, everybody.